Okay, stand by, everyone.
I'm ready to go.
Camera's rolling.
Action. Action.
Camera's rolling. Action. That looked good. 40 millimeter.
Test, test, test.
Action. That was good.
Test, test, test.
Camera's rolling. Okay, here we go.
Action.
Action. Okay, that's a cut. Action.
Okay, that's a cut.
Okay, action. Really beautiful. Let's do it again. Go ahead. Okay, tail slide. The film idea started with a company named Wholesome in Switzerland. They wanted to be associated with a movie that showed wonderful Swiss values and the beauty of Switzerland. And we all landed on the story of John Harlan. He wanting to climb the Eiger, which is the hardest mountain in Europe to climb, to honor his father, who was killed on that same mountain 50 years ago. And so we all felt that this could be an amazing IMAX theater film, as did Wholesome, and so we went ahead and made that film.
The idea for this film, I guess, came when I got that once from an IMAX film, and I thought, somebody has to make one about the Matterhorn, my hometown mountain, and about the Alps. It was very apparent that we would only want to do this with the best possible producer and the most experienced producer in the world. This was a natural choice for us from the beginning on, that we would like to work, if possible, with McGillivray Freeman Films.
You know, I was attracted to this story simply because it's a story of family, all centered around the beauty and the challenge of the Alps. Here you have a country that's relatively small in size, and it is just filled with amazing vistas and beautiful mountains, unbelievably clear and gorgeous blue streams, some of the most amazing glaciers in all of Europe. And their culture is so interesting and so well preserved over these thousands of years.
Well, I'm happiest in the mountains because that's where everything comes together. The climbing and the adventure of climbing, the beauty of the scenery, the weather, very often the cultural aspects of the mountains. And I don't know, it speaks to my soul, to my heart, to be in this environment.
I think that's the main thing that people will gain and feel good about. But beyond that, people will take away the story of heroism and courage and dedication to family. John Harlan is an amazing character.
He's become a superb climber in his own right, but he's had a desire and also a fear of climbing the Eiger for 40 years.
I've always felt that there's no climb really that I had to do except this one. And this one has just somehow been in me.
The Eiger was an obsession for John Harlan Sr. as well. His unique climbing techniques and successful summits gave him ample recognition.
Dad's reputation came from the Eiger itself, where he was the first American to climb it, actually the first from an English-speaking country. Dad's reputation also came mostly for putting up very hard routes. And immediately when he climbed it, he was already looking out for another route on the Eiger because nothing else had been climbed on the mountain to date. He was looking for a direct line up the north face of the Eiger. Dad's original plan for climbing the Eiger direct was to do it in 9 days. The problem was that the weather was so bad, so they waited around for weeks waiting for the weather to get better, but just kept storming and storming, and they ended up spending 6 weeks on the climb.
A little more than halfway up the mountain, a rope broke and John Harlan fell to his death.
That climb meant so much to him, more than anyone, and he would have wanted it to be finished. Dad's funeral happened the day that they reached the summit.
I think that this film is probably one of the best ways there could be to honor the good things that John's father represented in climbing, and also to celebrate the family in a certain way. And it's a very interesting story.
The reason Adele and my mother are, I can't say happy, but roughly as comfortable with the climb as I am. They think my judgment will be good and that I have chosen the right partner. It means a huge amount to them that Robert Jasper is my partner.
I have a big passion to the Eiger North Face because I climbed it now 12 times.
To find somebody who's absolutely the top level of climbing, who is a wonderful person and has this spiritual connection to this particular face, he just seemed like the perfect partner for me. His wife Daniela is also a superb climber.
Before I've been a full-time climber, I was a professional climber, and now I'm a full-time mom and I climb laundry mountains every day. Of course I'm nervous about climbing the Eiger because I know it's a dangerous face, but I have a great husband who we call Dr. Eiger, so he really knows when the conditions are good, and I would only go if the conditions are really good.
In 1966, this lonely old hotel at the foot of the Eiger was the base of operations for Dad's final attempt. Now, this hotel will be our home for a week or a month, whatever it takes.
Everything to do with the Eiger and the decision as to when to climb the Eiger was on Robert's shoulders. And that's a very critical decision because on the Eiger, the people who've died or failed in their attempt to summit have usually run into problems by choosing the wrong window of weather or the wrong conditions for the climb. And Robert showed tremendous patience in waiting for the perfect window.
The whole film crew, they were really nice, but at least we had also, or I especially, had a really high pressure, so it was hard to decide to wait for the right weather and the right conditions.
You know, in a lot of ways, this shoot was even more difficult than our shooting on Everest, partly because the mountain here, the Eiger, is far more treacherous. It's vertical, straight up and down, and the face of the rock is crumbly. And so at any particular time, you could have a rock slide come down on you or the camera or your climbing team. At any particular time, you could have an avalanche because the mountain is so steep. Those avalanches come and have knocked people off the face.
Filming on the Eiger is such a dangerous thing to do. Prior to the shoot, we did a lot of homework, and we talked to an old friend who was the cameraman on the Eiger sanction. He was attached to a rope with another cameraman when a rock fell off and struck them and killed the guy that he was on the rope with.
You have to be safe all the time, understanding exactly where you are and what the risks are.
So we went into this shoot with the context of knowing this was going to be a very difficult and risky procedure. So one of the things I think that was the key to doing it safely was the amount of preparation that we put into it.